Champion Rick Bone.
Well, okay, that's a little bit of an overstatement. I don't know how champion got in there, but returning, yes, okay? Returning guest.
We have fun, don't we? We have a good time.
We do, yeah, there's a lot of fun.
Rick has been in financial services for over 30 years. He has been married to his wife, Cheryl, for almost 31 years.
Yep, that is correct.
And they met in college. Oh, my goodness.
We did at orientation.
At orientation. So day one of college
Yes.
you met. That's hilarious.
We were seated alphabetically, and her maiden name is Boardman, mine's Bone, and we were right next to each other.
Goodness.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a good story.
It's wonderful. It's a great story. They are empty nesters now, with all three of their adult children being out of the house. They have 3 rescue mutts. See, you have such a good heart.
Thank you.
And Rick and Cheryl's latest hobby has been fostering rescue dogs, and to date, they have fostered over 100.
That's sort of incorrect. It's about it. We stopped at 100.
Oh.
The 100th we adopted. It was this little Chihuahua, and now we're done because we have 3 dogs. Now, so,
It's so
we don't
hard,
want 4.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Like
3's plenty.
Rick has founded Bone Asset Management. Very comfortable gaining the trust and respect of retirement clients, really clients of any age, right?
Yes, any age. We focus on the pre-retiree to the retiree. So the
good.
pre-retiree, let's just say, 50 plus is where we focus most of our business.
That's where you begin to think, okay, I should have something set up for the future.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not always good, right? I mean, you've got to go through the process and you have to see what your retirement's going to look like. And the earlier you start with the process, well, if it's going to look like what you want it to look, well, congratulations. Take a mini victory lap.
Right.
But if it's not going to look like how you want it to look or how you envision it to look, well, then you've got a little bit of time to make some adjustments and get it right.
That's true, because a couple of years, you could change your stock,
Yeah.
There's a couple, you can get life insurance, you can do an annuity, there's things you still have time to do.
There's a lot of things you can do. Yep, absolutely.
What
So the
makes-
earlier, the better.
The earlier the better, for sure, yeah. Like a time horizon. It's almost like, so if you had this nice, long period of time.
Well, every once in a while, and I don't want to get too much off track here, but every once in a while, people will come in after they retire and say, well, I've already retired. I've done this and this and this and this, and I feel like I've made all these mistakes. And to some degree, they have.
Yeah.
But now I don't want to say it's too late, because I'm pretty optimistic. It's never too late.
Never too late.
But man, oh man, try to be a little bit proactive, right? That's what we try to teach our kids. Don't react to problems, anticipate them, and fix them
so
before they
true.
happen.
What makes Bone Asset Management different from other firms?
Okay, so you came to my class, Sue. You came through
I
the
did. I'm
process.
so glad
and,
I did.
Yeah, and we chatted for a while in my office. And here's the thing, that's a tough question to answer because I don't know what all my peers do.
That's a good point.
But I do see a lot of their plans. And I think how we differ more so than our competition, so to speak, is that we build plans around exactly what our clients tell us they want
That's
to
great.
do.
That's great.
As opposed to saying, well, Sue, this was bad advice, or this is wrong, or you need to change this, or you need to change that, which I think a lot of people do. When people are trying to acquire new clients, they do it through criticizing either the advisor or broker they have, or the investments or the investment products that person used. I think we're different in the fact that I'll let them decide for themselves.
Right.
If they've got a good person or a bad person, or good investments and bad investments, I'll show them.
Yeah.
And then I'll show them how to get what they told me they want to get. And I think that's where it's a little bit different.
So you're very much listening, and I get the feeling that the person is really in control.
100%. So, obviously I'm a retirement financial planner. That's my profession. So I'm always Googling stuff on my profession and reading and stuff. So I get a lot of articles pushed my way through Google or Yahoo or YouTube or Facebook
And
or
people thinking
whatever
of
it
you.
is.
Hey, Rick, this is a cousin of yours.
Yeah.
Just saw this and thought of you.
Yes, and I get that. And so I click on it, I read it, and then I get more through the algorithms these companies use. And I see so many like things that I know I don't want to do. Like
Interesting.
one of the ads I get all the time is for a class or a dinner seminar or workshop, whatever it is, I don't really know, but it's called Surviving Retirement. I just saw the look on your face. It's like, does that sound, is that like really marketable? It's like, and I know the gentleman that does it, and he's a really successful guy, but I think surviving retirement is not, I want to thrive in retirement,
Yeah.
Sue. You know, I think that's what we've earned. That's one of the sacrifices we do
Definitely.
for working is earning the right not to work. And it's like, man, let's make the most of this. Now,
Definitely.
I'm not saying you need to travel to the Philippines, right? And I threw that out there because we were joking about the
We were
Philippines.
just talking about that, yeah.
But if you want to do it,
Yeah.
if you want to sit on your lazy boy and watch the Weather Channel, that's cool too.
You've earned it.
Yeah, you've earned it. Whichever one you want to do, or if it's somewhere in between.
That's fine.
The other one that I think is interesting that I always kind of, pause. There's another guy out there. I don't know him personally. I've never met him.
Sure.
But he advertises, you come to my, like, they're mostly dinner seminars. You
Okay.
come to my dinner seminar, and I'm going to tell you when you should retire. Now, I'm going to tell you what. I think that's a little arrogant it's just my opinion. All right. I don't tell people when they should retire. I don't want to show them how to survive retirement.
Right.
You come to my class, you'll learn how to build a plan. I think it will allow you to thrive in retirement and give you an idea of when you're able to retire. It's up to you. I'm telling you, retirement's
Completely.
tough, right? It's age, finances, and are you mentally prepared
Wow.
to do this? And the first two, well, that's kind of out of my control.
Right.
I can help people with the mental aspect by building a plan around what they want to do. So they go into this next phase of their lives saying, okay, I'm not just going to sit around and slowly die, which by the way, some people do.
Some people do.
And you
Yeah.
know, I think it's sad, but falling back, if that's what you want to do, then go for it. I'm okay with that. But let them know that there's more to retirement than just sitting around and doing nothing and gardening and growing tomatoes like my grandpa did, which was great, by the way, and cucumbers as well. But I think that's how we differ.
I like that.
We try to build plans around what you want to do. And you know what, Sue? Most people want to do what they want to do. So
I think one thing I really feel about you, Rick, is I think you're so incredibly humble and modest. And I think that attitude, that would make me feel comfortable.
yeah.
And even if I had a tough situation, I would be able to look into your eyes and say, you know what, Rick, I'm not doing very well and I'm really scared.
Yeah.
Can you help me?
Yeah.
But I feel like your manner, your demeanor, it's comforting.
Thank you.
That's how I feel
I
about
take
you.
that as a huge compliment.
Thank you.
And I get those calls either in my conference room, when people come in for reviews or even a first meeting. We have Kleenex in there because a lot of people cry. A lot of
yeah.
people cry. And sometimes
Yeah.
they're happy tears, sometimes they're sad tears. And to some degree, sometimes I don't know the difference between them. But it's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
And, you get people, you go through a lot of death as a retirement financial planner because, elderly
true.
people, sometimes they die and you got to deal with it. And, you plan for it. You don't want to do any of this stuff, but if you plan for it, it makes it a little bit easier, just a little bit, not much.
I think one thing about money, is it gives you choices.
Yeah.
So if you're able to see, I know this is a tough situation, but these are some choices I see. I think you're immediately empowering me, and you're looking through this very dark, where I can't see my way.
Yeah.
And you're saying, you know what? Let's simplify it. You have these choices. Do you know what a relief that would be for people? Because, right?
I do know. Yeah, because once again, I go through that on occasion. I taught my class at Macomb Community College this past week, Tuesday, Wednesday. And Wednesday after class, a lady came up to me and she was telling me that her husband passed 3 years ago. So she's a widow. And she looked pretty young,
Okay.
maybe
Right.
60, give or take, which to be a widow is really young.
That is young.
And she started crying, and she just said she's so overwhelmed by everything. And every time she thought about the financial part of retirement as a widow, she started going through the grieving process of losing her husband again. And I just said, well, you got to just take a couple of small steps to get the financial part settled for you.
Right.
And from what she was telling me, she's going to be fine financially. There was plenty of money there for her to be fine.
Thank God.
She had no idea. It was here, and everywhere in between. And every time she thought about this, just the unknown of finances,
Right.
which was not her forte,
Okay.
she went through the whole grieving process of losing her husband again. And
You
I
must have
felt
been
so.
very sympathetic.
I was, and it's a little uncomfortable, to be frank with you, because I'm in the middle of a classroom, and there was 20 other people in the room, and it was over, so people were starting to funnel
Sure.
out. But
Wow.
at the end of the day, I'm a guy, right?
Yeah.
And we're not that good with those situations. But I'm
Yeah.
saying, like,
But I think you're very kind.
look at if
and I think she trusted you.
yeah, if I can help you with the financial part of this, that's it. And that might get you one step closer to getting over the grieving process with your late husband. So
That might have been the scariest part for her.
I think the scariest part, and I as I recall the conversation, I think she even said, was going to that class. Like almost like, when you're an addict, one of the hardest things, admitting you're an addict.
Yes, it is.
I think for her, admitting that she needed to take care of the finances and registering for my class and then coming to my class and coming up to me afterwards and telling me what was going on, I thought that was a huge step for her. So, she's going to come in a week or two, and hopefully we can get her on the right
I
path.
think you're going to make it a very gentle, compassionate process.
Yeah, I try to. I really try to.
So what are a couple of different, types of people that you can help?
So, okay, I view retirement a little bit like unemployment, Sue. Why? Well,
Interesting.
you're going to lose your paycheck,
Yeah.
but you're still going to have bills and you're still going to have expenses.
Wow.
So I think a lot of people that we're able to help are pre-retirees. So when I look at the pre-retiree, okay, a lot of pre-retirees have this nest egg and they've started to save.
Right.
They just don't know how they're going to use that nest egg in retirement. So we start to show them, and a lot of people that have never earned a pension, it's a little harder to retire without a pension, right? You can still easily do it, but it becomes a lot more on you than the individual, right?
Yeah.
It's on them. So people that we can help, people that know there's an income gap.
Okay.
Income gap is just simply if you're bringing in less income than you're spending.
Okay.
That's a gap. They know they need it filled, and they don't know how to fill it properly. And they know the investment strategy that they were using from 30 to 60 is
Right.
probably not the strategy to get them from 60, I'm going to say, to the grave.
yeah.
Because to do retirement financial planning correctly, the plan has to go until you take your last breath. And if you're married, you or your spouse takes their last breath, whoever dies second.
I
That's the
see.
way you plan.
Right. It's almost like in life insurance, that joint plus survivor.
Exactly.
sort of
That's the way
thing.
you have to set up a retirement plan, because there's two lives,
Mm-hmm.
and you never. I don't think so. We know when we're going to die, do we?
No,
I don't
we
think
don't.
so.
I don't think
and,
we have any
And I
idea.
always kind of joke with people, either in my class or when they come into our office, saying like, if you know when you're going to die, we're going to chat a little bit more, because I want to know.
How do you know
How
what
do you
you
know?
know?
Yes, because I would like to know. Okay,
Definitely.
There's a couple of other questions I'd like to know the
Especially
answers to as well.
money wise too. Like, can I afford to take this vacation? If you could see into the future, when people come into your office, like to finish the class that they've attended, so they've kind of evaluated you. They hear what you have to say, and say to themselves, you know what, I'm gonna go in and see this guy, right?
Yeah.
So then would they bring in like documentation? This is how much I made, like things like that?
Yeah, we have what we call it an intake form.
Very good.
And it lists everything that they should try to bring.
Very good.
Now, we tell people, don't sweat it. Just do what you can do. Bring what you can bring. But you're going to have to bring some stuff, your statements, your Social
Definitely.
Security benefit statement, any insurance policies you have. And most importantly, your expenses,
Yeah.
right? People, if you remember from my class, I use a budget. Now, I am not saying you need to be on a budget in retirement. Okay, I've been scolded from people I live with that you can't tell people they need to be on a budget. Okay, I'm not. What I'm saying is you need to know what you're spending on a monthly basis.
That's reasonable.
And then we can plan accordingly after that because
Right.
it's really just figuring out how to generate enough income from your assets or Social Security or your pension so you can pay for your life. It's as simple as that.
Right.
What people say, though, because there's a lot of classes out there. There's a lot of these dinner seminars where you can go get a great steak at, Morton's or wherever, the new hot steakhouse is. And there really is no such thing as a free lunch. Okay, you know that. You've heard that before. And people try to get sold at those things. And
Yeah.
these advisors want people to buy something right then and there. One compliment I frequently hear from people that come in is, Rick, at your class, and I say right out in front, there's no products or services offered here tonight.
That's such a relief for people, isn't it?
People love it.
Don't
And
they visibly relax?
They visibly relax, and more often than not, the first thing they say when they come in to finish the class and get a plan with me is that. You didn't try to sell us anything. So the process goes like this. You bring in your stuff, we sit and we have a chat for a couple hours, usually. Monday, I had a single guy, and guys aren't very as talkative as women.
Sure.
One guy, we spoke for, we chatted for 2.5 hours.
He must have been comfortable.
Yeah, he was. And that first meeting, was I just yelling? I'm sorry.
No, not
I get
at
a little
all.
excited sometimes.
Not at all. No.
The
You're
first
perfect.
meeting is really, it's me learning about them, and just as importantly, they're learning about me. And we don't talk, I don't make any recommendations in that first meeting. I just learn about the person. Now, I believe that they're there for me to write them the perfect retirement plan for them. Now, you might say, Sue, well, Rick, perfection's impossible. And I would probably agree with you. But I said, not the perfect plan, but the perfect plan for them. And I believe I can do a better job if I can see the world ever so slightly through their own eyes.
That's perfect.
So I take them down a path that
Right.
they've probably never been down in a financial meeting before.
Definitely not.
Because I don't care about the size of their 401k. I don't care about the size of their pension yet. We'll get to that later.
Right.
I want to learn about you in what's important to you as a human being and as a retiree. And once I learn about that, then we're going to talk a little bit about the numbers. So we get to know each other, and if we're both comfortable after the meeting's over, I'll invite them back in about a month because it
Okay.
takes us about a month to build the right plan. And we'll bring them back in about a month, and then we present a plan to them and we give it to them.
So is a pension, I just a question for me, like,
Yeah.
is a pension similar to like an annuity sort of thing? Like
Well-
where there's like a amount of money that's accumulated and
They're
then
very
it's
similar. Yeah.
distributed?
Many
Something like that.
pensions are a form of an annuity.
Okay.
All right. And it's really just a very consistent monthly paycheck from your ex-employer
Okay.
that you've earned over the course of your career,
Right.
generally by taking less income from a salary. Not that you had a choice, by the way. But
Yeah,
they
right.
chose to do that. Or maybe there was less of a match into your retirement plan. So instead of giving you a 3% match in your 401k, they put that money into a pension, which is called a defined benefit plan.
Okay.
In-
Defined benefits. That means they're telling you,
How
they're
much-
defining.
They're defining what the benefit is: $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, whatever it is.
Okay.
Depending upon the level of your job within that company, they're going to define the benefit. Now, those have gone away. About a third of the local people here in Metro Detroit still have earned them, but they've gone away for the main reason that we're living too long.
Yeah.
And the companies can't make it work anymore. You know, they thought people were going to live to 70 and now they're living to 90 and they just can't make it work financially. So they took them away. Yep. But an annuity is very similar. And I talk about in my class a little bit about an investment called a private pension. So you ask anyone that's ever earned a pension, Sue, ask them if they like it or love it or hate it.
Okay.
Almost every single one without fail is going to say, I love it.
Okay.
Why? It makes retirement a little easier. That's just a fact. What I just said, 2/3 of the people don't have them.
Wow.
All right. So you can fund a private pension with your own money.
Okay.
It is a form of an annuity, which I know is a little bit of a swear word in some circles, but they're not all bad. And it smooths out income. You know,
Okay.
like about a year and a half ago, I put a ton of my retirement money in annuities.
Okay.
And I love when a non-financial person says, oh, Rick, annuities are terrible. Going, oh, okay, Joe, what's your background? Well, you know, I'm a machinist or whatever the case is. Okay. So I've been in financial services for 35 years. And I own an incredible amount of annuities to make my retirement with my wife much easier.
Yeah.
It's just as simple as that. Yeah. And I know the good parts of them and I know the bad parts and I still did it. So I guess I can't be all that bad, right? You know?
Not at all. No. And people have to sort of like put aside, maybe what they saw on TikTok yesterday and listen to an expert.
Well, you mean, are you telling me the people on TikTok are not experts on financial planning or
30 years of experience in front of clients.
medicine? Yeah.
Right. No, it's true.
It's like, well, there was this alleged doctor on TikTok or YouTube, and they said this. You know, it's funny, Sue, because someone told me in one of my meetings, they go, well, we don't get our medical advice from Google.
Right.
And we're not going to get our financial advice from Google as well.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it.
Now, look, I don't get my medical advice from Google either, but I'd be lying if I didn't say every time I've got a little symptom, I might Google the symptom and just see what I might have. I don't take that as the be-all, end-all,
No.
but I use it as a guideline.
I'm sure doctors are used to getting questions like, do you think it's this or whatever? And then they can tell you yes or no. They can say, and this is why. And that's why they're the expert.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's not much different. I view my job not a whole lot different than a doctor.
Like you're diagnosing.
Yeah, or you're exactly right. I am diagnosing. I've never even really thought of it that way, but that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm diagnosing.
Diagnosing because of experience and because of your ability to see around corners, kind of like somebody who doesn't have that kind of experience and that kind of like decades of seeing things change, like the stock market. In a sense, like you can see around what could be around that corner because you'd know, oh my gosh, I saw this before and this is what was, right?
Yeah.
Whereas other people, they wouldn't even think about there's a corner, like, like, right? Like it's so much more, you're informed like over a lifetime. And I think that allows you to ask excellent questions for your diagnosis.
Well, I'm a pretty optimistic person.
You look like
by nature.
Very happy-go-lucky, sweet person.
But as a fiduciary, if something isn't going to work, I'm obligated to tell who's ever sitting with me or in front of me that it's like, no, it's not going to work. One of my duties as a fiduciary, and by the way, I think that word is way overused. Okay, I'm just going to say, I'm not going to say it again. I'm literally obligated to tell people and give them sometimes the hard answers.
Right.
Or the not. I had a conversation with a client yesterday morning, and he had a question. I go, I'm not sure the answer. I'm a little concerned too. I'm going to call right now, and I'll call you back. I ended up calling him back in 5 minutes. He goes, Rick, I can't believe you called me back in 5 minutes. I said, well, I'm going into a meeting at 10, and I wanted to get back to you before that meeting. And I gave him the news, and it wasn't great news, by the way. It was just so-so news. And he got a little bit quiet because he didn't like what I said.
Sure.
And then I kind of took a step back and said, well, Bob, I guess I could have like sat on this for a couple of days and made you think about it and stew over it. But instead, I decided to call you right away and give you the news, good or bad. Right. Right. And that's kind of what we're committed to do. It's not always going to be good, even though I think I'm a pretty optimistic person.
You are.
And I had another gentleman that came in, hadn't saved that much, and he knew it. But he wanted to base his whole retirement on a potential inheritance
Oh, okay.
from his 88-year-old stepmom,
Okay.
who he got a quarter of the estate.
Okay.
Now, he didn't know how much this estate was, by the way. And he really was pushing me to build his retirement on this fictitious inheritance that he didn't know if he was going to get it in a year or 7 years.
Right.
And if she's going to need nursing care, it's probably going to go away. And I just told, the guy's name was Dan. I said, Dan, I won't do that.
Right.
I won't do it for a lot of reasons because one, it's a waste of both of our times because we don't know what you're going to get when you're going to get it.
Right.
And two, I will never put a plan together hoping that someone passes away. He goes, yeah, but I'd hire you with it. I go, I don't need it. I just don't want that kind of karma. So,
Wow.
I just think we're a little different in that way. you know.
Yeah, I think that kind of integrity, like that's what I would hope for coming to you. I would want to know the hard things. I would want to know, all right, this situation here, I wish I hadn't done this. But then you could be like, don't worry, I see that you did this, but let's turn it around and let's, because there's always choices, there's always options.
There's always choices, always options, and life happens, Sue.
It
you
does.
know, there's a famous saying out there, and I know I'm going to butcher it. It's like, we make plans and God laughs at us or something. Is that it?
Something like that, yeah.
So John Lennon, I just heard this song the other day on the radio. John Lennon, who obviously
Yeah.
has a song. It's called "Beautiful Boy."
Oh, I've heard that song.
And there's a line in there: "Life is what happens when we're busy making other plans."
Beautifully said.
So isn't it?
Beautiful.
We're always thinking about the future, the next thing, and life is just dealing all these crazy curveballs. I just got chills because I think that line is so powerful. So I don't care if someone comes in and has done a great job saving or hasn't saved at all. It's the cards we've been dealt,
Right.
and we had to get through it. You know what the most important thing is? We're all still breathing. That's
true.
number one. Everything else we can figure out. Now,
That's true.
some people can stop working at 57 and some people have to stop working at 70. And, that's just the way it goes. But it'd
There's
be
a
nice
lot
for
of-
someone to tell you.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of debt in a lot of people's lives, and they really shouldn't feel so bad about that because the way that, credit card companies like to charge 30% or something like that, that's really hard to get over.
It's really hard to get
Right.
over. So if anyone out there, and I'm not like a debt reduction specialist, but the best plan that I've seen work for individuals is that Dave Ramsey plan. You can just go to his website and Google it. And I had a client come in one time and a legal pad, sheet of paper?
Yeah.
Okay. She goes, Rick, I have a debt problem, a credit card problem. And I go, okay. And she had like 6 pages, single spaced of credit cards.
Oh,
6.
That's so awful. That's awful.
And she
I feel
goes,
bad
Rick,
for
the
her.
worst part is my husband doesn't know.
Oh my God.
And so I said to her, look, I'll help you. All right. But when you come back for your plan,
The next appointment.
you're going to bring your husband,
Good.
whose name was Scott, and you have to tell him about this debt before you come in.
Because he needs to get over it. Like
Yeah.
he's gonna have emotions.
Yeah. And you know what? Yeah, you're right. They needed to have that conversation, first of all, without me in the room and before they came in.
Office. I agree.
And you know what? She did it. They put a plan together to pay it off, which they did. And they're great clients and they're good friends now.
Oh my goodness.
But once again, here's a situation where I said, okay, you're going to have to make a hard decision.
Right.
You're going to have to tell your husband ahead of time, show
Right.
him all this. We'll help you with it, but you've got to do the hard work without me. And it worked out.
But it's amazing that your hard work, though, you found a way. Because can you imagine how relaxed and at peace she is now, where she could never be before?
Yeah.
And what I believe about you is you wouldn't make her feel bad.
No. The reason I think I brought her up is they're just normal people like you and I.
Exactly.
And life threw them some curveballs, and they had to,
Right.
or her, look at. Maybe she should have brought him into the fold a little sooner. Okay, I'm not going to judge that. I don't know the situation. Look, at life happened, and she ended up having 100 credit cards. I don't know. I'm sure there's worse out there. That's the worst I've seen, though.
Yeah, that's a lot, isn't it?
But she was able to keep control of it all,
That's
which was
amazing.
amazing. Just how do you make all those payments?
Like she has to read all of those things and then think, oh God, this is getting worse. This is getting worse. And it's compounding.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be paid off unless you intervene. And I'm glad that you met her, that she trusted you because, it's, wow. I just want people to feel really comfortable going to Rick. I really do. I feel in my bones that I would be able to come in to your office and sit and even cry if I needed to. But to trust you and to say, you know what, Rick, like, what can we do?
Yeah.
And that you would definitely take the time. I know for sure you would find out what was important to me and you would address those things. And then you would say, here's what I'm thinking. And I feel like you would take me into your mind and say, this is why.
Well, even without that, I know what's important to you. You get to see your daughter this summer at a wedding in Rochester, right?
Yeah,
we
you're
were talking about that
absolutely
before. So I know
You
a little
knew-
bit
you
of
knew.
yeah, I could tell when you were talking about your daughter coming to town. I think she lives in Southern California or something, you said. I could just see you had that genuine smile on your face. It's just not your eyes, everything. You could just see, I could see it. And I
So
go,
glad.
okay, I can tell that is really, really important to Sue.
Yeah, and your 3 kids, like you can imagine, like they're not all at home, but like imagine if you couldn't visit them because of money.
Yeah.
That's like, isn't that unbelievable?
Yeah, it is.
So it's really nice to be able to tell you that. If you'd like to come back and we can talk about other topics.
I would
or
love to come back, Sue.
We could actually, we can accept phone calls.
Oh, okay.
So we could maybe put the phone number on the screen, and I think that would be really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to do any,
I'd be down with all that. Yep,
I'm
absolutely.
so glad. I'm so glad. Thank you for taking the time to come here today.
My pleasure, Sue.
And
thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, my gosh, like I just feel so comfortable with you, Rick. It's wonderful because it can be a scary topic for a lot of us.
It is. It is. It can be a really scary. And look, one last thing. I think a lot of my peers out there intentionally try to overcomplicate this. So people say, oh my God, this is so complicated. I need to hire you. No, I simplify it. I break it down literally to like an 8th grade level.
Awesome.
Okay. So yes, you have to use the math. In the absence of math, none of this works.
Right.
But I'm not talking about crazy math. I'm talking about multiplication and division.
Right.
Keep it simple so people are comfortable with the plan and they know, look, when we build a plan, you could do it yourself.
Right.
Some people hire us and that's great. We're honored. But it's going to be simple enough that you could do it yourself, Sue, or, your spouse or your siblings could help you do it.
Right. Yeah. But in any case, like you're taking care of yourself and kind of like when it comes down to it, really, we do have to take care of our affairs because we don't want to leave people with,
You don't want to leave them a mess.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. We see it from time to time. Yep, I
Yeah,
would
wow.
agree.
It's so interesting learning from you. Really is. You're a great teacher.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my pleasure.
So glad. Thank you. So we'll see you again.
All right.
And
Thanks,
Rick's
Sue.
going to come back.
I will be back.
Thank you so much.
Yep, my pleasure.
Talk to you soon.
God, that is like the fastest half hour of the day. Does every show go by that quick?
It does. But like I was really like, I think you can tell, I was really with you.
Yeah. You're